If you've been hanging out here for a while, then it'll come as no surprise that I've been a fan of top-down twin-stick shooters for years. From the neon-drenched chaos of Hotline Miami to the fast-paced tactical action of Nex Machina, I've followed this genre through its evolution, and it always lives or dies by how it really feels, you know? That split second between life and death and the thrill of moving through rooms with bullets and enemies who just don't even know what's hit them. Kill Knight doesn't just understand this principle, it actually weaponizes it, because this game is a savage, unrelenting masterclass in movement, momentum and murderous flow. It's what happens when a developer trims every ounce of fat and boils the genre down to its most potent elements and then cranks them to 11. This isn't a game that you can play half asleep, as it really demands your full attention and it repays it with some of the most kinetic, addictive score attack combat I've ever experienced. You play as the last of the Godslayers, brought back to life in a cursed suit of armour and hurled into a gothic nightmare of screaming demons and hellish architecture. The story is sparse, really pretty minimalist, but that's by design. It exists more to set the tone in the atmosphere than to weigh down the pace with any exposition, and the real narrative is told in motion. It's the way that you cleave through a wave of grotesque enemies, dodge roll through a burst of gunfire, and chain together kill after kill with an almost balletic rhythm. And rhythm really is the right word here, because it does play like a song with a rising tempo. It encourages constant aggression, not just as a way to progress, but as a survival mechanic, and health is scarce, and the best way to restore it is by continuing the assault. There's really no room for hesitation. The controls are tight and instantly responsive, and every dash is a deliberate escape or a positioning tool. Every weapon has its own distinct weight and utility, from the swift blade strikes to the thunderous kickback of a shotgun, but what really sets Kill Knight apart is how all these elements click together. It's never just about pressing buttons, it's about stringing together inputs into a flow state, and one where you stop thinking and you start reacting. When it works, you know, when you're slicing through foes, dodging perfectly and unleashing your special abilities at the right moment, it feels less like you're playing the game and more like you are actually the Kill Knight. The aesthetic almost feels like a collision between heavy metal album covers, medieval horror and dystopian cyber-gothic, and environments are labyrinthian at first and oozing with atmosphere. Everything feels corrupted, ancient and hostile. It leans hard into style as crimson blood splashes across cold metal floors, arcane glyphs pulse with malevolent light, and enemies burst in satisfying fountains of gore. There's a real confidence in the visual design that's refreshing, as it knows exactly what it wants to be and it commits to it fully. From the character design to the UI to the way that health pickups flicker in the dark, everything contributes to the atmosphere. Even the font choices feel deliberate, echoing the game's grim, doom-laden tone. And let's talk about the sound design, because it's another part of what makes Kill Knight feel so damn good. Every weapon hit lands with crunch and clarity, enemy screams, environmental effects, and even your own knight's guttural exertions create a soundscape that's as aggressive as the gameplay itself. Layered over all this is a blistering industrial soundtrack that pulses with energy and dread. It's not just background music, it's actually the driving force that keeps you in the zone, matching the pace of your rampage beat for beat. If I did have to boil Kill Knight down to one word, and I said it earlier, it would be flow. This is a game that understands the joy of momentum, as well as the dopamine rush of chaining together kills with perfect timing and spatial awareness. It's less about solving puzzles or memorising enemy placements, and more about reading the room in real time and making instant decisions under pressure. Unlike some other games in the genre that reward caution or careful planning, Kill Knight pushes you towards reckless elegance. Yes, you could take a second to catch your breath, but that second might be the one where you get crushed from behind, lose your combo and your score multiplier, or indeed miss the opportunity to regain some health. It cultivates a mindset of controlled aggression. Be fast, be precise, and never stop moving. There's also a mastery curve here that's incredibly satisfying. You start out clumsy and cautious, dying repeatedly as you learn enemy behaviours and level layouts, but stick with it and you begin to notice something shift. Your fingers start to move before your brain catches up, and you start to see paths through enemy waves where before you only saw chaos. And when you finally clear a level with a perfect run, you feel invincible. It's worth saying that Kill Knight's not a particularly accessible game, as even on its lowest difficulty it is a challenge, and there's no easy modes, no hand-holding tutorials or press X to win combat, you know. It assumes that you're here because you do want a challenge, and if you're not, that's fine. There are other games for that. But for those of us who crave something with this level of precision and intensity, it's a real gift. There are a few rough edges, some enemy types could use a bit more visual distinction, and there are only 5 stages, but these are minor quibbles in what is otherwise a near masterpiece of the genre that you can pick up for quite cheap. Kill Knight doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it doesn't have to. Instead, it just takes the wheel, reforges it in molten iron, and straps it to a murder machine that barrels forward. It's a symphony of speed, violence and style, a game that feels like it was made by people who do really love this genre themselves. If you're a fan of top-down action and you get that itch for precision and flow, or if you want to lose yourself in a game that just feels right in your hands, then Kill Knight is essential. It's not just one of the most fun games I've played this year, it's one of the most satisfying. Now if you'll excuse me, the rhythm is calling. Au revoir.